of her husband, son and daughters, all allegedly for life insurance payouts. Khomotso Modise was in court.
A courtroom packed with relatives of Sekgomotsi Setshwantsho breathed a sigh of relief as she was denied bail today. Some of those in the gallery were on her list of relatives that she took out life insurance policies on without their consent. Boikhutso Matolo is the sister to Bonolo Modise Imang, one of Setshwantsho's alleged victims. Setshwantsho also had an insurance policy out on her.
I've been living in fear, even now. Yes, I'm happy she's denied bail, but I'm still fearful when I think about what she could have done to us.
Police believe Setshwantsho had approximately 40 life insurance policies on various family members, relatives that police believe were on her hit list. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in Mahikeng.
And Eskom says load shedding will remain put at stage 2 this weekend. The utility has owed the move to some generation units returning back to service. Stage 2 will continue until 5 on Sunday morning and then be downgraded to stage 1. Gauteng will be fine tomorrow, otherwise partly cloudy. Both Joburg and Vereeniging dropping to an overnight low of 12 degrees, reaching a high of 26. Pretoria 14 and 24. Lerato Huffler, Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 947. For more, click ewn.co.za.
#MSW.
You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Coming through is Woodbine on the turn. VAR check, penalty. This is the man you've got to worry about. Oh my word! Kudus is the man. He's back. He's back. He's back. Mohamed Kudus. The skill, the panache.
Emil Baron is my guest here tonight, accompanied by Sherry Baron, who is his wife.
Coming to the recycling part, it wasn't like an everyday event. It was more of like a push come to shove. There's nothing else I can do, so I'd go out and try and collect.
Mr. Marawa, his story Emir is very touching, Mr. Marawa. After a promising career in his football journey, what I saw on the social media about his life lately, it touched me, Mr. Marawa.
Robert, there's one thing, which I admire from you. Robert, you speak your heart, nationally, internationally. Somewhere, something is going to happen just because of you. So, Robert, thanks. You've got a good heart.
Robert, what an unpleasant story to hear.
Rather, all the eyes on Cricket SA following that unwarranted decision to remove David Teague as captain of South Africa's under-19 cricket team. Let's get the thoughts now of spokesperson for the SA Zionist Federation, Rolene Marks.
He is only 19 years old and he has his whole career ahead of him. And in my recollection and in my experience, we only saw this kind of discrimination in the years of apartheid.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
I think it's a Friday like no other. There's just something up in the air. There's something in the air. Cape Verde topping Group B. They've just demolished Mozambique. Last time I had my head up watching the screen, it was 3-0. So yeah, they done and dusted. Maximum points on the table for them. We'll keep you up to date. Also, there's some crazy news that I've been trying to track, while the news has been on the radio. I'll let you know about it as soon as we get it. The Marawa Scorpions are working very, very hard to bring that to you on air. But it is, trust me, when it does get out, a big story, breaking news story. But yeah, let's focus. We also got Farouk Khan in studio later on, though, to talk all things to do with the national team, Bafana Bafana, as they prepare to play against the Namibians. But you know what? I mean, it's almost time, though. And I know a lot of people who've been asking me about UFC 297. When are we going to be chatting to Dricus du Plessis? I said, calm down, you know. He needs to get his mind and his thoughts wrapped up. But trust me, man, it does not get any bigger than this. Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. Now, this weekend, UFC heading to Toronto for the very first time in over 5 years with a can't-miss fight card. I mean, it's been billed as the clash of the titans. So much has been said, so much has been done leading up to this fight. It's also been fueling anticipation and excitement even more for all of us here back home. And what even got everyone excited, if you watch the clips that have been circulating within social media as well as the news bulletins, I mean, the pair reunited this week. There was a bit of an awkward hotel encounter just days ahead of the 5-round middleweight title fight in Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Now, this marks the very first time that Tarzan, as well as Still Knox, have shared the very same real estate since that crowd-clearing brawl at UFC 296 last month in Las Vegas. And we sure cannot wait, though, for what's going to be happening over the weekend. For a quick preview, I had to ask somebody who knows this sport more than most. And what an honor, what a pleasure. And for the very first time, broadcaster extraordinaire, sportscaster himself, C.S. du Plessis. Thanks for joining us. Good evening. Welcome.
Robert, thank you so much. What an honor it is to be on the show. And yeah, I'm glad to be talking MMA with you. I think many people are talking about Dricus du Plessis. They're talking about this showdown, the bad blood, what it means for South African MMA. And of course, it's just incredible to see how the country has got behind Dricus. And yeah, it's going to be exciting. I can't wait for Sunday morning. It's going to be a great, great fight.
Before we get into the intricacies and what we can expect from our very own fight champion, but what does this mean overall, though, CS? When you look at South African mixed martial arts, where does this put us? What does it mean?
Great question, Rob. You know, if you think about 2010 when the EFC came about, the UFC felt like it was light years away, like it was a long-off dream that only a select few would maybe get into, definitely not anyone from the African continent. And now after the likes of Gareth Soldier Boy McClellan, you know, Ruan Potston Madge, all these guys that have forged the way for the likes of Dricus du Plessis, we suddenly have this potential watershed moment that everyone realizes now that South Africa is producing top MMA talent that is capable of taking on the best of the world. We're not just there to compete. We're there for the belt, and I think that's what's so exciting. And when Dricus gets the job done on Sunday morning, it really is going to force the UFC's hand to look at bringing the UFC to Africa and to South Africa for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I heard one of his interviews, and when he mentioned that, the guys who were interviewing him didn't even have a clue that it's going to be heading down there. So he seems to have had more information than they did. What's the likelihood?
I think at this point in time, very good. I was in New York for UFC 295 where I interviewed Dana White, and I said to him, you know, I know everyone keeps asking about Africa. You've had Israel Adesanya, Francis Ngannou, Kamaru Usman, who have roots in Africa, you know, who have really done a lot for MMA on the African continent. But now with the South African fighting for the title, surely you have to bring to South Africa. And at that point, he said, it's a case of where on the African continent. But after hearing his interview the other day, it has to be South Africa. And I think 2024 with a title defense for Dricus du Plessis makes a lot of sense for the UFC.
Now, Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. All the hype aside, the major media press conferences that we've seen so far, CS, what do you make of this matchup?
Stylistically, it's very interesting. You've got Strickland with the amazing cardio who does 5 rounds and looks like he hasn't even broken a sweat. He's a great wrestler. You know, he's got a great chin. He's a good boxer. But you've got Dricus du Plessis who blows up to 95 kgs the day after weigh-in. So he's a massive middleweight. He comes with that raw Afrikaans strength, if I can put it that way, that he gets with Team CIT and the way they train. He's a big unit. He's unorthodox in a way, in that he has a strange tempo in the way he strikes, but he is a great, great wrestler. He's got great strength. And remember, this guy is a former kickboxing world champion. He's also been a double division champion at the EFC. He's also been a champion at KSW in Poland. So he knows how to fight for titles. and he knows what it takes to get the gold around his waist.
I mean, how important was that Robert Whittaker clash? I mean, he beat the former champion.
Oh, absolutely. I think, Drickus often speaks about his heroes in the UFC and sitting at home watching in the early hours of the morning. And Robert the Reaper Whittaker was one of those guys that he used to idolize. And the next thing, he walks into the UFC octagon, he looks across, there's his idol, Robert Whittaker, and he goes and schools Whittaker. He knocks him out, he makes a statement. And I think, through that victory, he's convinced a lot of people that he's not just this awkward dude from Pretoria. He's, in fact, the real deal. He's a legitimate middleweight, and he's definitely capable of bringing that UFC middleweight strap back to South Africa.
I mean, I remember interactions, CS, and some of the language you can never even have here on radio. I think it was just an exchange at some point where it says, I actually sent him an message, and I was like, dude, listen, Drickus, we are going to go try and murder each other, but if you bring that stuff up again, I will stab you. So that's the level of conversation that happens in the sport.
It's all about hyping the fight, isn't it, at the end of the day? And we've seen it in boxing. We've seen it in other sports. There's a lot of trash talk that happens. But when it came to the press conferences leading up to this fight, there was a lot of nasty stuff. And then, of course, it led to that brawl at 296 in Las Vegas. But it was good to see yesterday at the press conference, the two gentlemen have, if I can put it that way, have buried the hatchet. They shook hands. They made sure that it was all about the fight and nothing personal. So I think that hype, that so-called bad blood is now a thing of the past. But when that door closes, the two gladiators go head-to-head on Sunday morning. I think if you set your alarm for about 6 o'clock, I think you're going to be good. You'll be able to see that. You're going to see two warriors putting on the line. They're going to be fearless, and they're going to put on a show in Toronto that people will talk about for a very long time.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning the time. I was about to ask you about that because I think we warriors who love the sport and we love just watching it, we don't want to miss a single bit of action. Yes, I know that we're going to be communicating into the brand new week regardless of who wins, but thank you so much for great analysis and also hyping us up to look forward to the fight itself.
Robert, thank you very much for the opportunity to share my passion for mixed martial arts. And yeah, if you can tune in, watch the sport, and get behind Drickus du Plessis as he brings back that belt, I've got no doubt in my mind.
Where can we watch it, actually?
Supersport is probably your best bet.
Yeah.
You can also watch it on the UFC Fight Pass if you don't have DSTV or Supersport. So I would say Supersport from about 6:30 in the morning to get your cup of coffee or cup of tea and get ready. Otherwise, on the UFC Fight Pass, you can also watch it.
Yeah, you're a great coffee ambassador, man. Yes, thank you so much, my friend. Let's enjoy it. Thank you very much for joining us right here on #MSW. That's CS du Plessis, their broadcaster, sportscaster extraordinaire. Maybe your thoughts again. I think the entire world talking about this. Sean Strickland and Drickus du Plessis. CS there. Thank you very, very much indeed. Well, I talked about a potential breaking news story. We have Lerumo Tobejane on the line. So we're quickly shifting through what has happened just a few minutes ago. He is the legal eagle that we've spoken to in the past, this time around representing Morocco Swallows in their case against some of the players that are there. Lerumo, thank you so much indeed for picking up our call at the very last minute. I know this was not scheduled, but it's the nature of radio and news and sport and everything that happens. Firstly, good evening. Welcome. What can you describe to us has happened? Because there has been action, legal action taken against players that went on strike at Swallows. Instead, what I'll ask you is, have they all been dismissed?
Thank you very much, Robert, for the invitation. A Happy New Year. And,
Okay. What are the gremlins doing? We're going to try and get them back on the line so that we can hear that, as I say, breaking news story that we literally, just as the news was on at the top of the hour, we were starting to get word that, it's been en masse. Something massive has happened. I don't think anything like this has happened before in football. I can't say for the rest of the world. I would have had to do my research in terms of that, but just locally, on the local front, serious findings against all of these players who have suddenly been given and shown the door. Said, yeah, cheers, guys. What you have done is something that we do not appreciate. And we are not going to be very kind to you. Lerumo, we missed every word you said, so my apologies there. I think the gremlins kind of crept in at a very critical time. So I'll just ask you to start from the top, though. What has happened today?
What has happened is that all the players that were charged and appeared before the disciplinary committee of Marawa Solos, some of them were found guilty because we had 3 batches of players represented by different legal representatives. The first batch of players were represented by the Players Union. The verdict came yesterday. They were found guilty. The sanction came today. They were all dismissed. I'm waiting for verdict for a batch of players that were represented by 2 private attorneys.
So in total, numerically, what can you tell me? How many players have been dismissed?
For today, 22, I think. Yeah, 22.
22 players dismissed?
Yes, for today.
Do they have any recourse? I mean, there's some big names here. There's some really big names. One of the players was on television yesterday analyzing the Nigeria. Well, he is Nigerian, Daniel Akpe.
Yeah, Robert, in every legal process, there's always a recourse for those who are aggrieved by the outcome of that legal process. So they have their own options. They can exercise their options. But in as far as the club is concerned, the independent chairperson of the disciplinary committee has made his ruling and imposed a sanction on the players. We can't interfere with that. We are happy with that. Similarly, we'll live with it and move on like we lived with the sanction imposed by the PSL DC on Swallows, and we moved on.
So as far as Swallows is concerned, they are not expected at any stage to see any of these players back at training or wearing the jerseys representing Swallows, because now Swallows and them have absolutely no relationship professionally anymore and legally.
In respect of the previous contract that they signed with Swallows, that's true. And if there's any renegotiations of new contracts and whatever, that can happen. I cannot stop that. But in as far as the previous contracts are concerned, those contracts are terminated.
All right, Lerumo, that's all the time I have. But thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I just wanted clarity in terms of that. And we can always pick up on the actual merits and whatever happened in the hearing in the brand new week.
No, thank you very much, Robert. Sorry for the disappointment of the top lines. Sorry.
No, not a problem. Trust me. We have load shedding. We have all sorts of struggles in this country, and none of them are yours, but thank you very much.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks so much, Lerumo Tobejane. I don't know, South Africa, wherever you are. What, 22? Was that the number he gave? 22 players told, cheers, goodbye. Legally, we have found you to be in the wrong. And the sanction, after consideration of all factors above, a fine the employment relationship cannot be sustained and dismissal is the only appropriate sanction. Generally, it is not acceptable to dismiss employees on first occasion of incident. However, some circumstances similar to the case warrant that a sanction of dismissal be militated herein, even if the employees are the first transgressors. So the final punch in the face is that in the circumstances that I submit, that the employees be dismissed with immediate effect. Immediate effect. I'll try and give you some of the names of the players who've been told, thank you, goodbye. It's been nice.
Africa Cup of Nations Korewa 23. Up-to-the-minute, concise and reliable updates with Robert Marawa. Hashtag MSW Afcon.
Attention all Aviator passengers. It's raining bonus bets at Hollywood Bet's hottest game. Play between 6 and 8 p.m. every day to grab your share of 1 million rand in free bets. Hollywood Bets. Fly higher with us. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line is 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
I like to sell it, but want a good price for it. Where can I sell it? I'd like to sell it. I like to sell it. I'd like
Whoa. You want to sell your car?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
Well, because we'd like to buy it. 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 You want to sell it? We want to buy it. We buy cars. The best way to sell your car by far.
Everyone knows that South Africans love December. That's why Burger King created the December special, where you could get 2 Whopper meals with chips and a bottomless drink for only $130. What they don't know is that you can still get that same Burger King special today, because after the 31st of December, Burger King decided to December on to the 32nd of December, then the 33rd of December.
Our 130 Rand Whopper special is still Decembering at Burger King.
2nd December. Then the...
Eskom understands that electricity is an integral part of running a business. However, electricity demand is currently higher than supply, and energy efficiency is critical. Businesses are encouraged to reduce consumption between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. by not leaving electrical equipment on standby mode, as well as turning off unnecessary lighting. We can reduce load shedding by working together. Every kilowatt counts.
We all know 2023 was the year of the box. The Pudo Box. The super simple lacquer-quick network of 1,200 smart lockers all over SA. Yeah, last year was big, but Malcolm marks my words. 2024 is going to be even bigger. So, whether you need to send something large or even faffing small, download the Pudo app, quick register, and hoy it locker to locker anywhere in the country from just 50 Rand. Powered by the courier guy.
Some people imagine a lifetime of comfort, others live it. Thanks to Alliance, quality residential and commercial aircons at affordable prices with a 5-year warranty. Heat pumps for the perfect pool, jacuzzi, and alternative water heating solutions. Our 14 years of proven reliability means quality products at affordable prices, with long-term service backed by 4Ways Air. Live a life of comfort. Experience the Alliance difference today. Go to allianceair.co.za.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Sherry Baron is here, Emil Baron, former national team football player. We spoke to representatives from that fan group in Norway. They confirmed, I think it was about a year ago, that yeah, we've done this. We've formulated the group. We've collected the money. The money is there. So what has happened? The fact that you sit here today and you have not received it.
Like, no one's been listening to us. No one's been listening to Emil.
Who do you say has been the biggest disappointment in all of this? Yeah.
Gabello's been the one that always, he actually speaks to Emil like Emil is a child.
So where does he fit into this whole thing?
He was supposed to be the person helping us and managing the funds. To be honest, his whole engagement with us and everything, it's been off.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW.
All right, just to quickly pick up, though, before I introduce my guest here in studio, I'm just looking at the repercussions, the reverberations that are going on social media platforms on hearing the breaking news that we've just delivered a short while ago. So if you're just joining us, 22 players of a professional outfit within the Premier Soccer League, Morocco Swallows players, 22 of them dismissed with immediate effect. They went on strike. Remember, they were unhappy. Payments were not made, allegedly. So 2 games. Swallows did not play against Mamelodi Sundowns and Golden Arrows. And as a result, DC action was taken against the club. So now the club is taking, I can't even call it DC action, punitive action against the individual players. And part of the outcome of the findings And they even said that even if there is no scientific standard for sentencing, there is a general consensus regarding the factors that should be considered in order to arrive at an appropriate sanction. And I must hasten to mention that such factors do not constitute a closed list, a numerous clause, including the following. And they mentioned the seriousness of the misconduct, the impact thereof of the employment relationship, the employee's disciplinary record, and finally the employee's length of service. So, when you're looking at a starting 11, it has what? Yeah, you guessed it, 11 players. And then you have players on the bench. So you got 2 starting 11s that have been shown the door at Swallows. So I'm not sure what playing personnel is then left. But we will chat, I can tell you one of these days, to the chairman of the club to tell us exactly what's going on. So Daniel Akpay, gone. Takasani Mbanjwa, Buhle Thompson, Mongani Sam, Mthokozisi, Shwabule, Sipho Sibiya, Lensane Phalane, Ephraim Mangweni, Tsidiso Pachi, Wandisile Letlabika, Given More, Cooper, Tandolwe Ngwenya, Wayne Poole, Siyabonga Khumalo, Faleke Tsanini, Owethu Khumalo, Stardom Bambi, Rampam Kuseli, Ntsako Makhubela, Lindokuhle Mtshali, Kwanda Mgonyama, Tlakusani Mthethwa. Sounds like I'm announcing a Bafana Bafana squad. No, I'm telling you about players who've been shown the door at Swallows. I think I'm in shock that here I am sitting at 28 minutes past 6, live on the show, where I'm supposed to introduce my next guest to talk Afcon. I have to garner, and he's just heard this because he was busy watching the Afcon game in the holding room next door. So this is news to him. And I look at his facial expression, we might need first aid here because Farouk Khan, I haven't seen you, my friend, in a while. But I think that look is of a man...
Surprised.
Surprised.
Putting it mildly.
It's a mild word. Has anything like this in your many, many years within the professional realms of football in this country ever happened?
Not to this magnitude. I mean, there has been cases where players have been fired or dismissed, but not the number. And what comes to mind as a technician is, what is Steve Kompella going to do to rebuild this team in time to get when the season kicks off after Afcon? New personnel, a lot of players gone. I suppose he has got a bit of a core to his team, but still, I mean, this wasn't a bad start to the beginning for Morocco Swallows. A lot of promise. I mean, I did a couple of the games, and I think Steve has done miracles to be, to be quite honest about what he's done in a short period of time. And I think with the right support, I think Steve could have gone on to do extremely well with this Morocco Swallows team, who is an institution, Rob. You know, it's one of the giants of South African football, and it's sad to see that they're going through this terrible time, financially and otherwise.
And I also got to put on record, Farouk, and to the listeners out there, and which, trust me, you're more than free to give us your reaction to this breaking news story at any stage, though on the show, it's going to be a whole mixed bag because we never, and that's the beauty of live radio, is that we never write scripts on any of these things. It is and when it happens. Now, they were saying, Farouk, that a disciplinary hearing consists of 2 stages, and Lerumo mentioned it as I spoke to him very briefly now, saying that the first stage is a factual inquiry. Generally speaking, a factual inquiry is about the determination of whether the misconduct was committed. If the misconduct is not proven, that will mark the end of the inquiry. It's got a very fancy name, Kadi Question. So, however, if the misconduct is proven, then the second stage of the inquiry will be ushered in. In the second stage, I am required to determine the appropriate sanction. So, as I said, this is the first stage. So, who knows? There could be more. I think the gravity of the misconduct is also brought into play here. The impact of the misconduct to the employment relationship is brought in, and various factors of legal aspects that rule South Africa's constitution, because there are rights given to every individual, right of, I suppose, protest if you're not happy. etc. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe your final thoughts on this before we get into a bigger matter, because this is a dismissal. And one thing we don't want is to be dismissed out of the Africa Cup of Nations.
Well, absolutely. I think, just to answer your first question, I think Morocco Swallows, after this situation, have an uphill battle. But there are other clubs that could benefit from their situation. The Cape Town Spurs, if these players are free agents, there could be opportunities for them as well. But overall, I think it's something we wouldn't want to see in our football. And hopefully it will be the last of those moments that we've witnessed from Morocco Swallows as far as the running of the club is concerned.
Marawa Sports Worldwide, covering Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 23. All of the action, all of the time. Hashtag MSW Afcon. Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Rather, all the eyes on Cricket SA following that unwarranted decision to remove David Teager as captain of South Africa's under-19 cricket team. Let's get the thoughts now of spokesperson for the SA Zionist Federation, Rolene Marks.
Well, he was cleared already of any ethical infringement. Cricket South Africa should have allowed him to be the captain, should have allowed him to remain captain. They have effectively brought politics into sport. They have made this all about the political issues. Cricket South Africa should reinstate David Teager. He has earned his right to be a captain. We're hearing from people from all walks of life how disgusted they are, and keep politics out of sport.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW. Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 23. Up to the minute, concise and reliable updates with Robert Marawa. Hashtag MSW Afcon.
Yeah, that's where we are right now. It would shocks aplenty in the opening couple of days alone. The 2023 Africa Cup of Nations heading into the weekend with some really mouth-watering fixtures. The Grip of Death returning to action tonight. Day 7 of the 2023 Afcon. Defending champion Senegal amongst the teams that I'm looking forward to watching in action from Group C. While Group B concluding with its second round of matches. I suppose countries like Cape Verde, Mozambique, opening the action, though, with the intriguing duel after both teams achieved ideal results, though, in the opening matches. I'll tell you about the results in a second. Senegal facing the mighty Cameroon. Yeah, we always have memories and thoughts about Cameroon, the very first country we played when we got back into the international fold after, the lengthy ban that we all know. Those two sides are shrouded in controversy, injury issues now. The Gambians as well looking to get their campaign back on track against Guinea. And that team with several players as well returning from injuries and also some that were on suspension. The big focus, though, I can tell you, free of charge for everyone at home. Sunday, Southern African clash at the Amadou Gon Coulibaly Stadium where Bafana Bafana will take on Namibia. And if history is anything to go by, Bafana should come out tops. I don't know. I don't know if I was good at history. I just know Jan van Riebeck popped around somewhere, discovered something, and made a great life of himself. But yeah, Farouk Khan is here. Stars of Africa Academy Director and football analyst. What an honor, what a pleasure to finally have you here. Farouk, is it as easy as saying on paper and historically Bafana Bafana have got the upper hand, or is there more?
Well, there's a lot more, and I think it's because of the magnitude of the game. It's not going to be an easy fixture. I think Bafana have a fight on their hands. This is a team that has proven that on the day they can rise to the occasion, and it's more of a team, a team. How can I put it? A team effort rather than a group of individual stars. All of the other teams have the quality and depth of individual brilliance. Whereas this Namibian team, and I did a game of theirs against Cameroon in the qualifiers, and they did extremely well. They have this team spirit, they have this togetherness that carries them through. I mean, they played against a team that's ranked number 3. They are ranked 90 in the world, and yet they overcame this team. Yes, we can argue Tunisia is not the youthful team they were, but even then, it wasn't.
It's still Tunisia.
It's still Tunisia. On the day they have a huge pedigree. So it's not going to be easy. Although I think when they come up against a team that has the skill, Namibia will find things difficult. But you never underestimate them. And I think that underdog tag, Rob, suits them fine. They want to come into a game being underdogs and upsetting the apple cart. And we have a fight on our hands. I just hope that we are able to rise to the occasion. It would be it would be sad for a country with this huge, talent base, with the infrastructure, with the economic power that we have, to once again be kicked out in the group stage.
I think Namibia did something right. They immediately won the game, got around, the association spoke to them. They dealt with bonus issues and almost incentivizing them to say, guys, listen, if you carry on here, we will double whatever it is. It might not be about money.
Yes.
Playing Afcon is about a whole lot more, Farouk, as you would know. Colin Benjamin, the head coach of Namibia, is a very shrewd man. And I think he saw the tactics on their match day one in terms of where their strengths are. If you just quickly wrap up and analyze Namibia, if they were to hit South Africa, what would we need to look out for?
Well, firstly, we need to ensure that we, convert those chances that we created against Mali early in the first half, and not allow the game to go to its full time as such, or to allow the game to drag on. Because once that happens, the confidence of Namibia will grow. And there's that man, Shalulile. Just to give you a simple statistic, Shalulile has scored, Rob, in let's say it is in a matter of 62 goals in 3 seasons. That says a lot about the man.
62 goals
in 3 seasons. In comparison to Mahopa, who scored 7 goals in 46 games.
Wow.
And he's our marksman. To be quite frank, I mean, nothing wrong with the player.
Yeah.
But if you look at the stats alone, and then you look at Percy Tau, who's also a player that we depend on for goals, he scored 24 goals in 3 seasons. Take nothing away from them, they're quality players. But are they able to convert those chances? You have a Mayo and Grobler who are on 7 goals currently, with Mahopa on 4 goals, who's sitting at home. So somewhere along the line, I think we got it slightly wrong. Yes, you want to introduce players, young players, you want to build a team. But when it gets to Bafana, results are important, Rob.
What is our surprise element? I was chatting to the panel that we had in studio the other day, and I asked them, I said, who is our surprise package and player in this tournament? And when I say surprise, I look at a Benny McCarthy Wagadugu when he went and played there. He was our surprise package. Do we have something of that nature, unknown entity, but that's going to come in and do the damage?
If you look back at our history and you look back as far as when we won the Afcon, we had the Bartletts, we had the Williams, we had the Kumalus, we had the Masheu. We had these players that could give us that special ingredient that could win games. To be quite respectful to the likes of Zwane and Percy Tau, they have something, but they don't really have the support that ensures that they have that offensive flexibility, ability to win matches, especially when you have your back against the wall. We were faced with huge tasks, playing in Africa with difficult conditions. If you listen to people like Mark Fish and company, what it took, have we lost that mentality? Have we lost that hunger? We could debate around it all night tonight, Rob. We just don't have time.
Tell me if I'm wrong. And certainly time is never on our side. I thought it might sound crazy, but hey, that's all my 2 brain cells give me. I looked at a player that caused Orlando Pirates problems and many other teams problems when they played domestically. 18-year-old, Sean Ray Campbell.
Yes.
Unknown entity.
Yes.
He's 18.
Yes.
He's got nothing to lose. He knows the game of football, can play against anybody in the world. Would we need at some point to start having favor in players like that? And you throw them in the deep end and you say, guy, listen, you want to swim, so here's the deep end. Good luck.
Absolutely, and I think that is part, even if you don't give them 90 minutes, even if you give them 10 minutes. I mean, I can recall when Brazil won the World Cup in 94 in USA. Ronaldo, when they didn't kick a ball, but the experience he had, Rob, was so valuable. And you mentioning Campbell now. Another player that comes to mind is Patrick Masongwane. You talk about a player that is great offensively, defensively. He's got that touch. The other day I watched De Bruyne coming on after a long injury. And what stood out for me was, besides scoring that goal, his ability to dissect defenders with that beautiful word we used to use, that champagne pass.
The champagne pass.
That razor blade pass.
We're going to come back for more champagne analysis here for Farouk in studio.
Africa Cup of Nations, Cote d'Ivoire 23. Real-time action was Robert Marawa. #MSW Afcon.
Yellow Josie. It's Betway SA20 time again. Welcome to Highveld Summers, where the music is pumping, open stands bouncing, and another Fub Century is loading. Join the vibe and bring family and friends to watch Gerald, Maureen, and Donovan set the bull ring alight. Get your tickets today at sa20.co.za. Betway SA20. Welcome to Incredible.
Hi, me again. If you know what this ridiculously short 30-second ad is for, you'll probably know what I hate most about it. Yes, it's the legal line. Pineapple AFSP 48650 is underwritten by Old Mutual Insurer or licensed FSP and non-life insurer. T's and C's apply. I mean, who cares? Have you ever heard anyone say, wow, did you hear that pineapple ad? Go to pineapple.co.za for 100% insurance, 0% other stuff with all those super interesting, invaluable T's and C's. Well, I haven't. I've also never heard a complete ad where we...
Make the most of summer with Specsavers' unbeatable sunglass offer. Introducing our exciting buy one, get one summer promotion. Get a free pair of branded single vision sunglasses up to 3,200 Rand. Choose from top brands like Police Eyewear, Hugo, and Carolina Herrera. To get your free pair, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination, frame, and prescription lenses. Visit us today or book online. Specsavers, for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Hey guys, do you experience symptoms of chronic subclinical systemic metabolic acidosis? That's medical terminology for raised acidity levels in the body, leading to heartburn, indigestion, headaches, joint pain, and high uric acid levels. Our diets make acidity hard to avoid. Fortunately, A-Vogel Multiforce can help your body clear excess acidity. Simply taking A-Vogel Multiforce every day supports the body's healthy acid-alkaline balances.
Hey, what's with the limp?
It's a story. I was in the roof turning down the geyser thermostat, saving electricity. I took a step back, onto the ceiling.
Oh no!
Ooh, straight through. Luckily, I landed on my daughter's bed with all her soft toys, so the only thing I broke was my fall.
Life is unpredictable. Get medical aid you can trust with BestMed Medical Scheme. Visit bestmed.co.za. Personally yours. BestMed Medical Scheme is an authorized FSP.
Spurs got the breakfast you're looking for. Cheese griller breakfast? Got it. Avon toast? Got that too. Carb conscious option? You bet. We have 15 delicious breakfasts for you to choose from till 11 every morning. Like our unreal breakfast with 2 rashers of crispy back bacon, 2 large eggs, golden chips, grilled tomato, toast, and jam for just $56.90. T's and C's apply. Spur, people with a taste for life.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Emil Baron is my guest here tonight, accompanied by Sherry Baron, who is his wife. If everything was fair, that in a place of duty, a career-ending injury, that you have a right to be tapped into an insurance fund of some sort.
My house was going to be auctioned, so I went to Wits. If I don't pay 200,000, I'm losing the house. And then, strange enough, 2-3 days later, Jose calls me in. He says, listen, this is what the insurance is offering, and it was exactly 200,000. But for not losing my house, I had to accept that.
It's also a bit strange when you just come with a sum of money from somewhere, and then you say, this is from the insurance.
Trusted Wits, I trusted Jonathan, I trusted Jose, and then nothing came of it.
#MSW. #MSW. Marawa Sports Worldwide, taking you around the All Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 23 in Abidjan, Bouake, Koroko, San Pedro, and Yamoussoukro. #MSW Afcon.
And Rob and Coach Farouk, Rob, I don't see Swallows recovering from this. They just need to start preparing for life in the Motsepe Foundation Championship. But with regards to Bafana, I'm very much optimistic that we're going to get positive results, considering that part of our preparations, we played against Lesotho, who are an outfit that normally plays similar type of football like Namibia. But I think our starting 11 should reflect our intent. I think for me, if the coach can drop Ukulu and put Grant Kekana, get Jaden Adams on the side, drop Upesitau, put in Umehlali Mayambela in that position where we are playing Umaseko, and push Tebza Mukwena just up front, and let Yaya play as a single pivot. I think with that formation, we can possibly get the results. For me, Rob, I'm behind Bafana Bafana. Tebogo, yeah, thank you so much.
Tebogo, we are all definitely behind and fully behind Bafana Bafana, regardless of whatever has happened. The tournament is still fresh, man. We can go all the way into the round of 16. We can even make it into the semi-finals. That is, for me, the only way. At times when you start badly, you pick up the pieces and you run like you realize now that you're at a major tournament. So thank you, Tebogo. He says we must play, and our starting 11 must reflect our intent. I thought great choice of words. How do you reflect our intent? You spoke about a couple of players used at Sundowns, for example, as offensive players, but now they find themselves in more defensive roles.
Well, your philosophy should encompass the reality of what you have at hand when it comes to personnel. Yes, we have two of the most exciting fullbacks, Mudau as well as Mudiba, but you have to allow them to express that ability to attack down the flanks, to create width, to create a lot of service to the likes of Mogopa or whoever you use up front. But in saying that, I don't think people should immediately criticize Percy for missing the penalty. He's been a player that has really risen to the occasion when expected to in the past. So it's not a case of Percy not having had his best game, because I know Percy on his day could cause problems for any team.
I don't think people had a problem per se, Farouk, with Percy as a player or anything. I think what was presented to them through the lens of the camera was seeing Mukwena going to take the penalty. And then all of a sudden that switches, and then it was Percy Tau. Then from there, he balloons it over the crossbar. So that, to the naked eye, was what didn't sit well with them. I think if he had just missed and he was the only one who carried the ball to go and place it down, but now there were two individuals and it was a case of, who do you think you are? I think that was the sentiment that was being shown.
Yeah, I think he just used his rank at that moment in time to ensure that he was the one who took the penalty instead of Mukwena. If you ask me now, it's not the decision of the coach on who takes the penalties. The players will decide in the moment. Yeah. And it was an oversight on his part. He felt he was confident, but even if you put the penalty aside, for me the biggest problem with the penalty was it wasn't on target.
Yeah.
I will defend a player to death if he ensures that he at least forces a save. But when he balloons it, there's a bit of question marks around it. But again, I think if you put the pressure that we have on Percy and on Zwane, then if they are your best attacking players, you got to surround them with players who can complement them, Rob. And we must agree that Maseko doesn't seem to be ready yet to play that role. He's a young, up-and-coming player. He's not regular at Sundowns. He started well, struggled a little bit. So, it's a bit of a surprise. Is the coach using these type of players to build, and is it the right platform to utilize them? I mean, if you look at it, I was quite surprised. Again, another player that in a tournament like that, Dupree, for me, with his pace, with his eye for goal, I would think. But again, I'm not the coach, and I'm not criticizing the coach for his selection.
This is Ashley from Kaizer Chiefs.
Yes,
right?
I just think those type of players do have that X factor. So you got to ask the question that on the day, yes, we will definitely have the upper hand against Namibia. For me, the Tunisia game is going to be the acid test, because I do believe we're going to overcome Namibia, because we just have too much quality to offer. And God willing, we'll have that important win or draw against Tunisia in our last fixture, which will then catapult us into the knockout stages.
Right. Tebogo spoke about Maseko. You've just mentioned him. He also spoke about Xulu, saying that Xulu maybe should be left on the bench and you should advance Adams into the starting lineup.
Well, he spoke about bringing Kakana in, and Grant Kakana has proven at club level that he is an astute defender. Take nothing away from Xulu, he's a good defender, but I mean, again, he was caught for pace. If you play against pacey opponents, and you must take into account we're playing against somebody we know very well, Shalulile. Shalulile is that assassin that can make his appearance at any moment.
Yes.
He's that type of modern day striker that you can't really guard against. He comes up at any moment and he's got that special scoring ability. So we have him to deal with. He plays with the likes of Kekana. Kekana knows him well. He trains with him. And maybe that could be an opportunity for Bruce to bring in Grant Kekana and say, okay, look, Kulu, rest for this one. We'll see what happens going forward.
But he's an ever-present. There's something about Hugo Broos and admiring what Kulu brings into the national team. Regardless of what people think, he will always have him as part of his ever-present. And yeah, I mean, you warned us about Shadulile and what he does have. I mean, scoring goals in all 4 of the qualifying matches of this tournament as well. So we cannot look behind that or over that, not just thinking of the last game that they played, where even some people are starting to criticize him. And you think, criticize who? Peter?
Evening, Rob, and evening to Coach Farouk Khan. Coach Farouk Khan, what do you make of our defensive pairing of Tobin Vala and Sianda Kulu? Can you see that defense, the 2 players in that defensive center pairing working for us against a Namibian side? And can you see them containing particularly their star player in Shalulile? Or would you go for a Gran Kekana and Tobin Vala, considering that they play with Shalulile at club level and they know how he operates as a striker at club level? Which defensive pairing would you go for in the game against Namibia?
Yeah, I think we've just touched on that, but maybe putting it out there. Which defensive pairing, if you're to be brutally honest?
Well, I would go with what I just said earlier on. Kekana for me and Vala could be an excellent pairing. And also, if you look at our squad in the last game, we look at the balance between offense and defense. It seems like if you break it down, you probably had 2 or 3 offensive players to complement Makopa up front. Maybe we could increase that. Maybe we could allow Mudau and Mudiba. We still have Mobi on the bench, who's also good going forward. So we have those type of players. I think we need to stretch Namibia to ensure that we are able to get the likes of Zwane, because Zwane didn't get forward much in the second half. We want a player like him because he got an eye for goal as well, Rob, and Percy as well. I mean, I do believe if they get the service and we utilize a lot of wing play with the likes of Mudau and Modiba, I do believe we can convincingly beat Namibia.
Now, it's Pepelo Stole, who's also been one of the key players casting his eye on the game against Namibia. And he also said, though, I think early on yesterday, when they chatted to him, saying that he feels that victory is a must to avoid putting pressure on the South African senior team in their last game against Tunisia. So the game against Namibia, what are his feelings?
We still have another opportunity to do better in the second game.
I think the Giants we've been positive after the loss that we had. So I think our mindset is on the right track because we are fully focused now on the coming game. In this case, I think we need to win the game to be actually not to be on the safe side, but a win can be more than good enough.
All right, that's Pepelo Stole. They're just casting his eye on the game against Namibia over the weekend, though. And one of the players that we spoke about a short while ago, that's Debo Mkwena, his feelings and thoughts as well.
No, I think we just need to be clinical. We get one chance, we score. We close the game. That's all what you need. It's not really a must-win. No, it's not really a must-win, but we must get a result against Namibia. Of course, I won't be happy, but we mustn't lose.
Not happy, you mustn't lose, not a must win. He said quite a bit there, hasn't he? How do you analyze his thought process?
Well, I think I like the fact that he's positive about winning, but I don't believe that we should look at just scoring a goal and defending. It shouldn't be in our nature, especially playing against Namibia. I do believe a player like Apollos could come in. I really admire him. Going forward, he's the type of a player that has that skill and that ability to, take on defenders, especially if you take it into account in 1v1 situations. We need players who can take risks, Rob, going forward. We don't need to play within ourselves. We need to allow ourselves, to express ourselves more offensively. And I think when you talk about tournaments, yes, it's important to be structured and well-organized defensively, which is what I think Bruce has done. He's really done well in creating a good structure, a good discipline, well-organized defensively. But I think if you look at winning tournaments and going forward, You need to score those important goals, whether it be 1, 2, or 3. We just saw now Cape Verde, an island, scoring 3 goals against Mozambique. They don't play like a team that is coming from an island. They play like a team that has got pedigree. So that confidence is important.
And they got 6 points, Farouk.
Yeah, they qualified.
Yeah, they done. Their business is done. And here we are, a country of probably close to 60 million people, supposedly soccer-loving and thriving. We still look back at 96 as our shining star year. And we've been struggling. And here Cape Verde comes through. Boom. Andres Mkwana on the social media platforms on Twitter says that, good evening. Always enjoy listening to Coach Farouk Khan. The man knows the stuff. Great analysis. Anyway, good luck to Bafana Bafana. Not only is it just about football, quite interestingly as well, and this was beautiful though, the Bulls director of rugby, Jake White, he's also shared his words of encouragement for Bafana Bafana.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to answer your question by saying this: we lost to Ireland in the World Cup rugby, and we lost to New Zealand in the opening game in the last World Cup, and ended up winning the competition. So hopefully Bafana will take some hope out of that. And all I'll say is that, working at Loftus and working where our shareholder is Patrice Matsepe, I'm almost sure that he will sort it out. I've got no doubt in my mind. If you see what he's done for football already, with all the tournaments he's sponsored and all the money he's put into football, I'm almost sure that, if we don't get it right at this tournament, I'm almost sure that, he won't let it go away. He'll make sure he sorts it out. So all positive. I don't think let's write them off. Let's see.
Don't write them off, according to Jake White. Well, great message. I know that a lot of the time he'll be listening to the show in the car when he's driving away from Loftus. So, Coach, I think great analysis from your side, using analogies from rugby. It can happen, trust me, in football.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa, and good evening to your guest, Mr. Farouk Khan. Mr. Marawa, after a great start to our game against Mali and the second half, our defense look shaky at the back. So what I want to ask Mr. Farouk, does he think that we should continue with that central pairing, or there must be changes in that central pairing? If so, which player he can bring in and which player he sees as a weak point?
Yeah, weak point. I'll cut it there just so that I can afford Farouk an opportunity to respond to that. Maybe as a final thought in answering Sibongeleni's question, Farouk, and maybe your own analysis in terms of the approach. I know we'll be chatting further with you with regards to the Africa Cup of Nations, but just your final thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts is we go into this game with positivity. We put this loss behind us. We've seen in the past Spain lost their first game when the World Cup was hosted by us in South Africa and went on to win the tournament. Argentina, another one, they wrote them off against Saudi Arabia and they came back. Let's hope that fairy tale continues with us. We have the personnel. We have a coach who's done well in the short period that he's been here, but it's important for us to ensure that we don't leave anything to chance. We make sure we score those important goals, Robbie, and we make sure that this game that we're coming up against, there's no room for errors. We've got to win it convincingly.
Back in the days when I used to call you Precious, you used to get every prediction absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Humbly give me Namibia versus SA.
Yeah.
On record, what's the final score?
2-0 to SA. We'll win this game, definitely.
Who will score? Do you know?
Percy Tau is going to make up for that penalty miss. And I think Zwane is going to come to the party as well. Let's get the defense sorted out, and I think we're in for a 2-0 win.
You can see she's smiling. You've just made her day. Hey? Nandre's in heaven right now. It's like, what? We're winning. Yes. Farouk Khan, always a pleasure. We're going to get you back. Exciting things to chat about, your development, Stars of Africa, and where you guys are in your new home. I look forward to having you back again in studio. Have a fantastic weekend. Good luck, Bafana.
Marawa Sports Worldwide, covering Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 23. All of the action, all of the time. #MSW Afcon.